All right. Welcome to the Restoration Roundtable, Restoration Rebel Roundtable. It is the 17th of July already, 2018. Mr. Travis Chansey, get in the room. Here we go. We're gonna break this mofo tonight. We are going to try to skew the platform, not the platform. The whatchamacallit? What's the word I'm looking for? The way we usually do things. The format. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. But first, before we do anything, we always read the 4 commitments. So here goes. Rebel commitments. In order to maintain clarity of purpose, we ask that every member of the Rebel community make the following commitments. Number 1, I will protect the value of my services. I will never provide free services, as this would only serve to erode the value of similar services industry-wide. Number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. I will explain our processes in details to my client. I will never hide details or manipulate reports. I will never communicate with a third party without also communicating with my client. Number 3, and I'm going to talk about this tonight, I do not believe in competition. The restoration professionals in my market are part of my community. I will be an active member of that community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change that we strive for. Number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, any client, any contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. All right, let's do it. Let's go around the room. Who is here for the first time? I don't see any first-timers unless you're Mr. Sudan.
We had Tim Hartle in here. Did he bail out?
I see a hand raised. Mr. The other Clark Brown raised his hand. What's up, Mr. Strong?
So this is John Lapetier. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can't. Go ahead.
John.
I don't know why it listed me as Clark Brown, and I couldn't correct it.
It's that darn link that we have out there hiding, lurking. It's the wrong link. Introduce yourself. What part of the country are you from? What do you do? And what brought you to the Rebels?
I'm from Orlando. I'm an indoor environmental consultant.
Yes, sir.
Been asked to chime in on a few things on Restoration Rebels and decided to see what was going on.
All right. Well, good.
Hey, Andy.
Welcome. Yes, sir.
John's kind of a big deal. Don't let him downplay it.
John,
they just talk. He's kind of a big deal with the ICRC, right, John? I don't want you to downplay who you are. I know you're probably humble.
I've participated in ICRC, RIA, and I'm the recent immediate past president for IAQA. I was a 2-term president for IAQA.
Yep.
Hey, Whitridge, hold that book up one more time. What was that? Ooh, you got it. How is that? You go through it yet? Mr. Sean Scott, my good friend Sean Scott wrote that book. That guy's a genius. Didn't he write it? Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. See? I got the same one right over here.
That book is incredible. Holy mackerel. What are we doing in this business? We need to follow that book.
Kaboom. Yes, sir.
We got John Howells here, Brian Rauch.
Good. John Howell, you've been here before? Okay. All right. You want to say hi anyway? Or he's shy. He's in the dark.
What about Billy?
There you go. No, wait. He wants to say, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of dark over here. I'm in Nacogdoches, Texas. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
What do you do there?
I don't know. Water damage restoration, carpet cleaning, or rug cleaning business.
Perfect. How's
still long
business?
enough I'll clean it.
How's business?
It's good. July's been good.
Good. Travis Chansey, if y'all don't know, he's heading up our local Rebel chapter organization. So he's coming up with some framework for how we're going to roll out Rebel chapters nationwide out there in Denver, Colorado. So how's that effort going, Mr. Travis? Or do you got kids in the car you can't talk?
Well, I'm trying to keep my 3-year-old from singing in the back.
Yes, sir.
We have our next meeting on July 27th. I've just been doing the meetings at my house at the kitchen table, and hopefully once we start doing, different spots, I think we're going to try different areas too. But it's so nice and personal to have people over at the house and be able to talk to everybody too.
It feels more like breaking bread. I mean, it's
yeah,
nothing
it
like
does. It has that feel to it, So, but it's good. I really, anticipate every meeting. Everybody gets there. We're all, just talking about, things to make our companies better. And I think the chapter thing is really going to be an outstanding thing on the social media.
Yes.
Trying to get out there and getting some information. And I'm into all the personal development stuff out there. So I don't listen to music much. I just, listen to personal development stuff. So trying to get that information out to people and just, being a rebel, means a lot to me, and to my family and to everything else. I really want to, the chapter level to be very organic and, have people basically have a real simple structure and not have to really think about it too much. Just enjoying the camaraderie and talking and trying to get better in life. So
absolutely,
we all have enough bullets coming at our head every day, and all we have to do is learn how to be ourselves and be able to be an independent thinker and just be creative with the way we do our businesses. So, and I think this Registration Rebel movement's definitely helped my family and my business, and I just really look forward to working with everybody.
Means the world to me, man. Means the world to me. I appreciate you.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
I wanted to say two things. So first off, I think I saw Stephen Ardno came in the room. Stephen Ardno had his first group meeting with some local restorers today in Arkansas. So maybe later this week, if you can link up with Stephen and ask him how that went and kind of share with him what you've been doing. But if we're going to be talking about commitment number 3 tonight, don't believe in competition.
Yes.
What better way would there be to be an example of no competition when you invite them to your home, to your kitchen table? I can't imagine a better example of showing transparency, of not being competition, than bringing people where you break bread with your family and friends. So, thank you, Travis.
Yeah, no problem. And I think everybody's just naturally going to kind of draw toward the the personal, organic type feel. Some people want to do it at their businesses and things like that, but I think it's better to just bring them in and be a part of the family, because that's what's going to make it in the end. If we can just really be a community, and not try to fake it. You actually have to put your foot forward and shake the other person's hand and give them information and make their company better. That's all that's going to do is make your company better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen. Well, thanks for being here, brother. Where are you headed? Soccer?
Yeah, I had the soccer practice. I had to go grab chicken nuggets for the kiddo, and then I had to go back to going to the playground so she can bounce around and burn some energy.
Yes, sir. And it is hot. It's hot on the West Coast. I don't know what's doing in Denver right now, but man,
we're having monsoons right now, and we just had a bunch of commercial work come in. A couple of roof leaks. Roofers were in the middle of roofing, and monsoons coming in. So just flooded 30,000 square foot building. So it was a good deal. So I mean, we kind of hit and miss with storms out here. But when monsoon season hits out in Colorado, it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that in Phoenix.
It's got covered by insurance, though. A lot of it's self-pay.
Gotta get coverage. Got to get coverage. All right, let's move on. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
And all right, I don't see any more new faces. Anybody raising their hand want to say something before we get going? No.
Bill, have you been here before, Billy? No,
Havestad. All right, pronounce that name and introduce yourself. You got to unmute yourself first, though. You got to hit the unmute button there. Or I'll do it for you. Here we go. There you go.
Yeah, my name's Billy Havestad. I'm out of Rock Hill, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Love it. What do you do there?
Yeah. It's hot as hell here, too, by the way.
You guys got humidity, though. I can't handle it over there.
Nah, yeah, we're used to it. What was your question?
What do you do over there? What type of business you run?
Well, I run two. I run a plumbing company and a restoration company.
Good for you. That's a good combo. Good combo.
Yeah, and I'm with a national brand, too, so it kind of keeps us pretty busy.
Good. Good for you. How long you been in the Rebels?
Well, it's probably 7 months now.
All right. Welcome. We got to get you a shirt. We got to get everyone a shirt.
It's kind of fun.
Good. You getting some value out of it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the value is really good, and to see two sides of the stories is really nice to have sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you know, I've been in the plumbing world for 15 years, and then got talked into this, and you know, hearing everybody make sure you get your certifications first, all this stuff first. God, don't make the mistake like everybody else did. And you know, that's what I did, and I'll tell you that if anybody's thinking about it, I would definitely do that first too.
Yeah, you gotta talk the talk first. You gotta know what you're talking about first.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Bill, reach out to me later. Actually, I'm leaving tomorrow for vacation next week, but I ran a very large restoration and plumbing company as well, so I can probably sympathize or empathize with some of the struggles that you're having, and maybe in putting our brains together, we can maybe resolve a few of them, because I know we struggle. I mean, as much of it is a blessing, there are some struggles with it as well from how the corporation, because you're talking about one side of your business that's COD and cash flow positive, and another is not, and pricing and estimating and scoping becomes very, very tricky. So we can definitely have a conversation, but I know where you're at with that. So anyway, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, no problem.
Who here is, thanks, Billy. Appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Who here is, just raise your hand or shake your head. Who's here part of the mentor program on the Facebook page? I know Travis is. Ken, who's the other? John, you part of the mentor program? Okay. How's that going? Just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or kind of lukewarm. Thumbs down. Okay. Thumbs lukewarm. Okay. So not a lot of activity, or is it hard? Is it a hard time? Okay, Ken, why don't you tell us what's your biggest what's going on there?
Let's see. Hang on.
I got you.
Well.
Oh, I unmuted you already. I'm gonna I'll do that again.
Unmute.
There you go. I got you.
I don't have somebody to mentor yet. You were going to check on that.
I swear I lined up 2 people for you, but okay. All right. I'll check on that.
Maybe it's like people you hire, you hire 5, and if you're lucky, 1 will show up.
That you might have a good point there, Ken.
Well, we'll see. I'd love to help somebody if I can.
Good. And that's what we're here for. That's why we're all here. We just got to give. Givers gain. There's just no 2 ways about it. And the rising tide will float all boats. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute you then, Ken. I'm going to put myself front and center there. Commitment number 3. There is no competition. Hold on. Chris just jumped in. Chris Loki? How do you pronounce that name? Luelke. That's a fresh face. Where are you from?
Kelowna, BC, Canada.
BC, Canada. Oh, a Canuck. All right. How's it going up there? What do you do?
My official title is an IT manager, but I get thrown into every division of the company.
Okay. Good. Well, welcome to the Roundtable, man. Hope you get something out of it. How long have you been in the Rebel group?
I think about 6 months.
Okay. Good so far?
Yeah, definitely been useful.
Good. All right. Well, welcome, man. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Go overhead and mute that. Ken says he's got an IICRC AMRT in Winchester, Virginia next week. $7.99. Register at RIT Con Training. I think you misspelled that. It's in the chat if you guys want to check it out. Use code REBEL100 for a $6.99 price. It's $100 off for the Rebels. I love it. Thanks, Ken. Go ahead and feel free to post that up in the group. Chance.
On the event.
In the yeah. Make an event. Yeah.
It's there.
Oh, it is? Okay. Good. All right.
We'll bring it. We'll bring it back to the front tonight.
Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to get going after I let Don in the room. Don Nagoff, get in here.
That's our next chapter.
Mm-hmm. It is. Good. Looking forward to it. All right. Commitment number 3. I do not believe in competition. We heard today, we're not going to call anybody out. People know who they are. We heard today that somebody posted up some really good information in the group and then promptly deleted it. And they said, well, we said, well, why did you do that? I'm going to let Caleb Willis in the room here. Why did you do that? Two reasons. One reason given was I didn't want to get into a long conversation. Okay, I get that. We don't all have time to chit chat on Facebook all day, every day. I believe me, I get it. Second reason was I like to keep the good information internal, meaning I like to keep all my best stuff for myself. That really struck a chord with me today. And it struck a chord with Clark. And Clark went live on the group today and talked about it a little bit. I want to tell you my perspective on it. I came into this, first off, I created this group for free. I put a lot of time into this group for free. I have a book that I gave to this group for free. I spent 3 years of my life developing this 24-hour tech platform, another year of my life writing the book, and then another 2 years after that perfecting this system and constantly tweaking it. You guys have access to that for nothing. That's my best stuff, some of my best stuff. I am giving out for free. Why do I do that? Because I believe that when we all raise our bar collectively, professionally, and have the best stuff up here in our heads, we are going to raise the bar for our industry, and the people that cannot keep up will wash out. If I held that to myself, how much good does that do me? I might sell a couple copies of that book. Excuse me, I sell a couple copies of that book every month, all right? That's okay. But if I was jealously holding my best information, I would not be providing any value to this group. I really wouldn't. So here's what I'm going to do for you now. Everyone in this group, I don't know if anyone knows that I've been doing some pricing, customized Xactimate pricing courses, right? I've given 2 of those courses, and I do some of that customized pricing for my clients at Claims Delegates. I write Xactimate estimates. And some of my clients opt to pay me to develop their price list for them so they can make 35 more points. I am going to give you that entire package that people have paid $350 to attend a class for. I'm going to give it to the group for nothing tonight. Okay? That's how much I believe there is no competition. I need everyone to know how to do pricing feedback. I need everyone to do pricing feedback in their markets so we can raise all the market rates back to where they need to be in Xactimate. I want to squash any idea that anyone here has a unique idea that is special to them that they need to hold to themselves. By sharing a secret in your brain, in your years of experience, you are not losing out. You are actually gaining as a human being. All right, I went a little off track there. Clark, you got something to add to that?
No, I was clearly, I don't know. I'm here in this group, and there are hundreds of people freely trying to change the industry. And then there are hundreds of new startup companies, which we need. We need new, fresh restorers to keep filling the pipeline. And they come here asking legitimate questions for a novice. Nothing stupid, just something that we didn't know till we knew. And then for us to change the dynamic, and I won't let it happen. So this group has grown from when someone asks a question, you agree to come here and you got to give if you're going to take. It's going to be a reciprocal relationship, and you won't last long if you don't, because it's not going to match your cadence and tenor of who you are. You're not going to be comfortable here, and it's going to push some buttons, and you're probably going to find someplace else that might suit you better. So while I'm not mad at this person for it, I think it's a tragedy that they're still stuck in that mindset. I think that's the way our grandparents and maybe some of us, our parents, ran businesses, but our enemies are not clear anymore, and we have to be united. That's the only way to do it, because our enemies are united against us. Now, that's not just a big carrier, but Yes. Technology, industry is our enemy. I mean, the movement, it's an inanimate object, but it is united. We have to do the same thing. So, yeah. But anyway, the information was good. I will repeat it, and I will put what that person put in there and say, I won't claim this as my own, but here's the information.
So there's a parable in the Bible. Somebody correct me if I get it wrong. It's something about you have a gift and there's 3 brothers or something like that. And one of them put it under a rock. Is that ringing a bell for anybody? Yes. So you're not given these gifts. You're not given this. You don't earn this knowledge so you can just hide it under a rock. You've got to go put it out into the world. And the brother I forget how exactly it goes, but the brother that took his gift and put it out in the world, he got it back tenfold. That's how this works. So, Stephen, you can probably get a little more clarity on that for me. So tonight I'm going to go into pricing. I'm going to go into pricing feedback and customizing your price list. And feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to go really quick because I do not want to go an hour into this thing. I'm going to go really quick, but I'm going to show you why it's so important that we all contribute to pricing feedback and customizing our own price lists in our own market. Is that cool with everybody?
Yep.
Yes? No? Maybe? Did you tune in just to watch me drink beer? Okay, I'm gonna do some whiteboard action here. Let's see how this looks. I'm gonna have to step back a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right, let me get my camera a little bit.
Also, let me go ahead and tell everyone, if they change their view to only see the active speaker,
I'm gonna do that.
You'll be on the whole screen.
I'm going to go to speaker view right now. Okay, so what do we got in Xactimate? If we don't customize our price list and we say we're going to mark up everything 10 and 10, who thinks that marking up everything 10 and 10 is a 20% margin? I'm not even going to look at the screen. You don't have to raise your hand. Let me show you why it's not a 20% margin. You have a sale. You have $1,000 sale. And you mark it up 10 and 10, which is $200. You get a total sale $1,200, right? But if your costs are $1,000, you take your profit, which is your 20%. So you take your $200 divided by your $1,200. Someone can do that on their calculator, but I'll tell you right now, it's 0.1667. That's 16% margin. There's a difference between a markup and a margin. Okay, Xactimate gives us the ability to put in a markup. That's what 10 and 10 is, a markup. What we get out of that markup is a margin that is far less than what the layman believes that it is. Who here runs a business that can survive on a 16% margin? I'm going to venture to guess nobody. I'm going to let Don Walker in the room here. So if we believe Xactimate is correct, which I do believe that for the vast majority of items, the material and labor allowance and time allowance and everything that Xactimate gives us, it's pretty dead on. They do a really good job. And I'm going to give you guys the white paper here after the video from Actionable Insights. They do a really good job of surveying suppliers, surveying subcontractors, and dialing in what costs are. So Xactimate is really good at developing what is the hard costs on a job. And if you do a good job of estimating the job like I like to say that I do, you're going to catch all the line items and you're going to capture all your costs. But what you're not capturing, if you're only marking up 10 and 10, you're not capturing enough margin to support your business long term. When I was a restoration contractor, when I was running my own branch office, and I was an estimator, my goal was 35% GP. Oh, my pen's running out. 35% GP. Is that pretty close to what guys are on rebuild? Let's go structure, rebuild. 35%. People, can we agree that 35% is a pretty good goal, gross profit wise? Okay. So if I've got to get to 35% and the only tool I use is a 10 and 10, I'm short. I'm 16% short. Where does the vast majority of us, unless we're customizing a price list, the vast majority of us, where do we get that delta? Where do we make up the difference? We pay our people less. We beat up our subcontractors. We find bargain basement materials, or we overscope and we underdeliver. All of which is wrong. All of which is not the right way to do it. We shouldn't have to fluff up Xactimate estimates in order to make our margins. We shouldn't have to underpay our employees, which, by the way, are our lifeblood of our businesses. Water technicians, everything good, and I'd say that every class I give, even the water, I give a water damage mitigation class on the 24-hour tech system, and I tell everyone the water damage technician is the most important person in your business. If you're the CEO, your CFO, you're a project manager, estimator, you are not as important as a water damage technician, because water damage technician is first on site. Water damage technician has the most interaction with your client. Water damage technician has the most influence on the outcome of a job, because they make the first impression for you. So why do we pay our water damage technicians $12 an hour? Because we have to make margin. Now I'm going to tell you, we don't have to do that anymore. We can build our margin in. So the pricing system that I'm going to give you allows you to call out, what do you need for your margin? What do you need for your net profit? I'm going to say, net at the end of the year, I want 10%. But I also want to be able to build in, what's my overhead for my business? What if my business overhead is 25%? I need to somehow build in 35%. Oh, this kind of works out there, doesn't it? I need to be able to build that in to my price list. Now, Xactimate gives you the tools and gives you all the information you need to do it. We just got to go out and do it. So what do you do? You start here. I got to make 35%. And then you say, what do I get? I get 16% if I am marking things up 10 and 10. So in between here, I've got to manipulate the numbers so I can make my number. So what we end up doing is we mark up our labor. We increase our labor overhead by enough of a percentage to compensate for the fact that we're only getting 16% margin on our materials. And that's about it. Okay. We can do this. Here's the other side of it. When you do program work and you are locked into a price list, you know where Xactware gets most of their feedback? From program work. Okay, someone just not muted. I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna hunt you down. Joe Ledbetter's muted. Okay. So when we do program work, every job that you complete, you mark it as complete and upload to Exact Analysis, that provides feedback to the system that you agree with those prices. And if you don't agree with those prices, why would you provide that feedback? Well, on the programs, you have to. Programs, you cannot vary. You cannot go away from the standard pricing, right? You can't use your own custom price list because they red flag it and you get beat down every time. But what you can do is take every program job you do, copy it, put your own price list in, and then resubmit that feedback back to Xactware. And that way, this low price that you are feeding back to the system is offset by the real price. And over time, you're going to see the Xactware price that comes straight out of Xactware. It's going to start to match and get to parity with what reality is, with what you need to run your company. Ben Justison did a really good job. He was very diligent about this in his market in Eastern Washington. And for those of you that don't know, he was able to, in the span of 13 months, he was able to increase his labor rates across the board by $20 an hour, strictly by providing feedback, steady, consistent feedback based on his margins, his market realities, and his business overhead. So if he can do it in his market, we can do it in our markets. The reason I'm going to give this to you is because it's going to take all of us in all of our markets to make this happen. So, okay, I'm going to go to the notes here. Making the pricing list to count all proper marketing conditions. Yes. Yes, Mr. Brian Rauch, that's exactly what we're doing. We're feeding good data back into the system. Because you know what percentage of estimates come from contractors? What percentage of feedback estimates come from contractors? 10%. Well, is that 9%, Brian? You say 9, 10. Yeah. It's 10%. So we're being overwhelmed by all the IAs and adjusters submitting their own feedback, the program guys submitting their own feedback. We have to go above and beyond and blast this thing with better information, more volume of information. Okay, who wants to add to that conversation? Brian, it sounds like you've got a little something on this. So go, show us, give us your input on that one.
Excuse me. Well, it's the garbage in, garbage out principle for programming.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not establishing our prices according to market conditions, we have the adjusters running around dictating what we do, essentially price fixing, but not officially. It's because we're not using our software properly. We're not getting the good feedback. We're withholding information. It's old hats what you're saying here. I don't know. The guy that's been hammering this to me has been David Hodge out in Phoenix. He's just a huge proponent of this.
Yes, sir.
And so that's one of the reasons why I'm here for that. But also I've learned this from the restaurant business. I've been helping grow a couple of those for a couple of years, and that's the same thing with what's your food cost. Same idea.
Right. And if you don't build that in and then build your margin in,
you're out of business.
Yeah. And a lot of what the problem is with the restoration industry as a whole, we don't understand our numbers well enough to know that we're dying. We just assume there's enough money there. We assume the margins are good. The margins are good. Well, newsflash, the margins are no longer good. The margins haven't been good for a number of years. We're just been slow on the uptake to realize it and do something about it. I'm going to do a little screen share. I'm going to show you guys a little bit behind the curtain. Who can share? I'm going to say me. Okay, that's the wrong button. Screen share, please. Okay, I'm going to do, let's just do a desktop share screen. And I'm going to bring up the spreadsheet that I worked all day today on. I was revising it to send out to the people that came to my class. Can you see this? I'm going to reduce it here. So what happens is we have to go in and establish. Can you all see this? Yes, maybe, sort of.
Can you make it full screen for you?
How's that?
Yeah.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. So we build in. This is a plug. There's some plug numbers, and keep in mind when we talk about pricing, we don't talk about this is what you should charge. We talk about this is the generalities of how to establish, how to come up with your own pricing. We are not trying to tell anyone anywhere what to charge for anything. So these are generalities. You're going to have to customize this to your own business. Okay, the lawyers will be off me for a little bit on that one. So I plugged in 22% of business overhead costs. A lot of people have higher overhead costs than that. A lot of people have big businesses that have a lot of overhead. They might be running 26, 27%. And when I was in the business, we were shooting for 10, 11% net at the end of the year. Combine those two things, comes up to 32%. Also, we have to establish, what do we want to pay our employees? We don't have to pay them according to what we're given. We can pay them according to what we design into our own businesses. Hey, someone's writing. Yeah, I like that. Right on the screen. So if you pay your technicians $21 an hour, then design that. Put that into your budgeting process. Build that into your price list so you can actually do that. So you can actually pay them $21 an hour. I was on the phone with somebody in Southern California. They pay all their technicians $22 an hour because that's what it takes to get a decent employee that will stick around more than 2 weeks in San Diego. So if Xactimate has $13 an hour, let me just go over to cleaning remediation technician. That's the current wage. This is in Ohio, so this is Cleveland, Ohio, $20 an hour. But if you're at $22 an hour, you're losing money right out of the gate using Xactimate until you customize your own price list. So how do we do this without going into every single item? There's 20,000 plus items in the Xactimate database. Well, we make some assumptions. We assume that we're not going to change all the material pricing. We assume the material pricing is pretty good with no margin built in. Where's my other? I have another sheet over here. Oh, I had it up. There's 0.0% business overhead built into any Xactimate line item. It's just fact. People want to argue about it. It's just fact. There's no business overhead built into any Xactimate line item. So if we know on material, we're not going to change all the material. There's too much. We can't change it on an individual basis. So we're going to assume all we're going to get on material is 10 and 10, right? So we have to overcompensate in order to get to our 32% margin. We have to overcompensate and change our labor by a higher percentage. And right here you'll see is 47.33% to get our combined margin of 32%. Then we do some fancy math and we build that 32% back in, and this is what it looks like. You take the Xactimate wage plus the burden plus the overhead, and there's a calculation in here in between. It's not showing, and it doesn't matter. But the real retail rate is $82.45 for a carpenter, and this is fictitious because it's in Ohio. So there's a delta of 1766. So you have to go into Xactimate and change your labor overhead calculation to this number, 4252, and I'll show you. Let me show you real quick. Can you guys still see that? Maybe. See if I can get it Xactimate to come up quicker. Quicker, I said, quicker. Who here is annoyed by how often you have to change your Xactimate password? I mean, I swear it's like every 2 weeks. It's so dumb. So I'm gonna go to price list. I'm going to go to Ohio. Oh, no, not that Ohio. Different Ohio. An unedited Ohio. There we go. So what's this number here? New labor overhead calculation for carpenter, finished carpenter. So let's go there. Can you guys still see this, or should I go full screen? I'm not hearing any objections. So in order to get to this retail rate that we're shooting for, 82.45, because that has our built-in margin and overhead in it, we have to change this number right here. Oh, this is a read-only price list, so I can't change it. But we take this labor overhead price, which is sitting at $24.86 right now, and we put it at $42.52. And that gives us our new retail rate of $82.45. That is, in a nutshell, how the custom pricing works. And then you've got to feed it back into the system. And I'm going to give you guys, like I said, I'm going to give you all the steps to do that portion of it, because I believe we all need to know how to do that. Any questions on pricing, customizing prices, that I've spent 20 minutes on it?
Hey, Andy.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
We had a comment in earlier, we had a comment from someone in the group here, and that it looked like, it was Jason Richards, I feel like this is more focused on repairs. It's my understanding that the majority of this group is mitigation. Talking about what you were talking about, that you were mostly talking about repairs. I wanted to see what your reply was.
So the every line item in Xactimate is made up of several different items. Some of them material, some of them labor, right? So we might have one line item, FCWAV, right? That might be made up of a labor item and 4 different material items. You got glue, you got nails, you got the actual wood itself. There's different percentage of labor versus material. You know, some line items have 90% labor, or WTR-EXT, right? Extraction. You're going to have a little bit of that line item is going to be for your equipment, and the lion's share of that line item is going to be for labor, right? So if we're skewing our labor rates by this 42%, which I just showed you, if we're skewing our labor rates in order to get our margins where we need to be by, let me get back over here, by 47.33%. On the mitigation items, that's going to be artificially, that's going to that might on the surface seem like we're skewing who was that? Wow. I can hear somebody, but I can't see them. All right, doesn't matter. That's going to skew our labor way high. But keep in mind that the vast majority of us are not allowed to charge 10 and 10 on mitigation, right? It's just not worth the fight. So when we build in this 47% margin or markup into our labor line items, it makes up for the fact on mitigation that we can't charge 10 and 10. It actually washes out pretty well. On repairs, it's pretty much average across the board. You have every line item is 50% labor, 50% material, and that's what we calculate on. It's not a perfect science. It's not exact. Xactware hasn't given us this insight. We had to develop this on our own. So we have to take some liberties with the data, and we're gonna make some assumptions. So we're assuming that on average, 50% of every line item is labor, 50% of every line item is material. So to repeat, on mitigation, that actually does better for us because we're not able to get 10 and 10 in mitigation. So we need to still do this. Even if you do majority mitigation, you still need to do this. This is what ordinary retail guys do. They build their margin in. You don't see a plumber adding 10 and 10 to his bill, right? You don't go to Home Depot and buy some hammers and some wood, and you see a line item by the end, 10 and 10. No, it's built in. That's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about doing. We're talking about building our margins in. And on mitigation side, when you can't get 10 and 10, that's what we're doing. We're compensating for the fact we can't get 10 and 10. We're actually building in a retail rate.
Well, let me say something else. Well, go ahead, Danny. I want to say I don't want to.
Quick question for you on the labor burden. Is that the part that factors in the 15 minutes each way drive time, or
yes? And there's another component to share screen. I'm going to share just that screen. Let's see how this goes. So there's this is your budgeted labor efficiency. Because what happens in Xactimate, if you'll go into your labor efficiencies, I'm going to stop my screen share and reshare my Xactimate screen here. We can see in our supporting events, it's the Ohio price list again, supporting events, labor. You can see where the efficiencies lie. So contents labor, they say it's 11, so they're 88.5% efficient. That's one of the most efficient trades out there, which it's not reality. So on top of adjusting your labor rates, you have to adjust your efficiencies. I advocate adjusting these across the board to 33%. Because this right here, Danny, this says labor assumptions based on an 8-hour day with 5-minute planning, 30-minute drive time, and material equipment pickup, blah, blah, blah. Who has 30-minute drive time total in a day? Nobody. So
not to mention 5-minute planning.
5-minute planning. Yes, 5 minutes. Plenty of time. So what we're doing is adjusting this for our purposes. We're adjusting this for our use and to accomplish our business goals. I'm not going to let anyone outside of me and my family and my business determine what my goals and dreams are. I'm going to set my goals and dreams, and then I'm going to go get them. And this is one of the most powerful tools we can use to do that. Does that answer your question, Danny?
So Andy, I want to bring up some things, and so Jason asked the original question. Now and you may can see the notes. I'm full service, and I totally agree on what's being said for the repair side. It says I'm full service, and yes, we struggle on that side of the business because of TPAs. However, I have no problem closing out every month on mitigation at 75%. That's growth. That's
how much you paying your guys, Jason? I'm gonna bet you don't have a technician making $20 an hour. $25 an hour, really?
I'm trying to unmute him. Why can't I unmute him? He probably can talk.
I don't know. Jason Richard, where you at? Here we go. Unmute.
Are you costing your equipment?
Well, yeah, I doubt he's. Well, he can. Yeah, tell me, Jason, are you job costing your equipment, or is your equipment free to the job? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll mute you back again. Sorry, Jason. All right. Well, and that's okay. Do you want to make more money?
So that's what I wanted to bring up. There is a group, and I don't know how big it is, but there are people that say this entire conversation is silly because they make plenty of money on using the Xactimate because they quote unquote know how to write a good sheet. That's what I hear all the time. And of course, I'm a big proponent of just get out of, if we're fighting with Xactimate so much, then just leave it. Because what happens is, and to use your example a while ago about a restaurant, or Brian actually was talking about, he ran some restaurants. If you know your food cost and you know the kind of restaurant that you want to run, sure, you can run a restaurant that serves macaroni and cheese out of a craft box, but if you want to be a better restaurant and serve better food, you're going to buy better food materials. And so you have to price your job accordingly. There's not a food critic that comes in and tries to tell you, well, you have to lower your price or we're not going to pay the bill. That's what we get with an insurance carrier. Yeah. We have an end user, which is our customer, the diner, the person who's eating our food, and then a party that comes in that maybe their boss, because that's who they get their money from, comes in and says, no, I don't pay you enough to eat this macaroni and cheese. So I'm just sitting here saying that we see these posts all day, every day in the Rebel group. I get these arguments from the carrier. Listen, if you drop your prices 20%, I want to give you a tip. The carrier is still going to call you and find something else they want to cut. Mm-hmm. So you're not doing any favors, or you're not hurting yourself by pricing your jobs where they need to be. We don't work for the carrier. I'm not going to get on that tangent, but that's this. If people just all day say, I can't be higher than the TPAs because I won't get any work. So those are the arguments we hear, but I just don't think that's a good excuse.
Sure. And do you give, how many weeks of vacation do you give your technicians? How much health care do you provide your technicians? What's their allotment for new clothes? How much tools do you allow them every month or every year? These are all things that get paid out of business overhead. You can't job cost those things. And my guess is someone who's not changing their price list and says they're making 75%. Sure, you are. But is your employee getting the maximum benefit, or are you just the owner getting that benefit? I would venture to guess just the owner. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging here. I just believe that we can do better. I believe in order for us to go 120 days without getting paid, we might need to build in some margin for that, right? We are the only industry that goes so long, we might not ever get paid. I've got a guy in my local market, he's waiting on $500,000. That's 6 months out on 4 different jobs because people just said, either I'm going to spend the money. The adjuster said, screw you. Any number of things, because we don't run a COD business. We unfortunately we have to play these games. So why, if we're going to finance all this work, if we're going to take all this risk, well, if you're sitting at 75%, Jason, maybe you meet me at 80 or 85%, because there's going to come a time where you're going to get shafted on a $100,000 job, and you're going to look at the bank account and say, I don't have the capital to carry that.
I think Jason needs to be teaching classes and teach everybody how to make
maybe. And there's that too. I mean, and don't, everyone runs a different business. Everyone has different ins and outs. Everyone has different goals. Joe, go ahead.
I mean, listen, the point at the end of the day, it's all about mindset. It has nothing to do with the actual price list. It has nothing to do with the price list. See, we've all forgotten that this price list that we're still fucking talking about, excuse my language, but the reality is it was created by the insurance carrier for the insurance carrier. We're still having that conversation. So this is more about mindset. At the end of the day, this is going to blow you guys away. So check this fact out, right? This is crazy factual. Anyone out there who's done large loss, show me an estimate. I'm sorry, show me a invoice that included a line item from Xactimate.
0.
Dude, it doesn't exist. You know what an invoice from a large loss looks like? It looks like a stack of sub bids, contracts, basic language,
and an Excel spreadsheet.
And an Excel spreadsheet at best, or maybe some time and materials like tracking it, but it doesn't matter. The whole point is there's no descriptive of what the carrier is paying for. The carrier pays out percentage largest by gross value to sub bids, which have no like detail, right? There's little to no detail.
They're one-pagers.
They've got a small amount of money against line items that actually come into the system, right? But the reality is line items, it takes 1 million line items to build a $100,000 estimate per se, right? Like you get the conversation. So there's a lot of granular data that they're chewing on every single day. So here's the challenge for anybody still drinking the TPA Kool-Aid, right? Go submit your next repair bill and all sub bids and watch what happens. Like one of two things, right? They're going to be so confused, they're just going to pay it, all right? Or they're like, well, why couldn't you write it in like Xactimate? And then you'll say, well, because the trades are expensive right now. Like, and by the way, if they're not expensive in your market, then you're obviously not doing enough work because trades are expensive all over the damn country. It's mindset. This is all about mindset. It has nothing to do with anything else. You as an owner have to take control of it. So tell me how you as an owner, okay, let's keep it really simple. I'm Xactimate. I'm coming into the owner's checkbook tomorrow, and I'm writing checks that you have no idea are the amount for. Are you cool with that? Fuck no, you're not cool with that, right? Like, you want to be in control of your business. Just so you know, when you use their price list, when you play their game, like, they're in control of your shit, not you. This is about mindset. I'm not saying don't use Xactimate. I think Xactimate actually is a phenomenal tool to create accuracy and transparency of what you need to do from a construction standpoint, from a mitigation standpoint. I enjoy it. But at the same time, like, I'm not having the conversation about my labor rate being X, me personally, because I'm going at it with a different mindset. Here's my sub bids. Here's my documentation. Here's my contract with the insured. Right? So again, we've already talked about this. Majority of the lower 48 states, it's incurred costs once it's under contract.
Yep.
Before work even gets done. Like, we don't have to get crazy technical on the carrier, but if you present in an educated format with a strategy to the carrier on how to settle a claim, you will settle that claim very quickly, very fast, and at the rates that you've deemed necessary.
Yes.
If you
want to go out of pocket to fund it.
No, absolutely not. And if you want to take the time to go through the price list, I encourage it. Like, I have tons of my own price lists. They make sense. But at the end of the day, the carrier is paying majority of all the dollars every year to frickin' sub bids. Like, let that set in for a second. They do no review. They do little to no any data.
They're not calling these subs.
And here's the best part, because like if you had an HVAC sub bid that was water heater and furnace, right? As an example, on one piece of paper, and the carrier just paid it $9,000. They can't put that data into the algorithms in Xactimate because it doesn't line up in a fucking box.
Yep.
So their algorithm doesn't get the real information. Carriers pay out more on sub bids than anything else. I'm not saying go run a sub bid business. I'm just explaining to you guys that we get caught up in the line item. So the line item is the minutia.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Mindset. mindset.
Hey guys, one more thing. I know we went off on a tangent. Bob Timmel, and I think he may have put it in our documents, but Bob did he took like the top 50 or 75 line items from Xactimate and showed that in 10 years they have not moved. Some of them have actually declined. So
absolutely,
have your cost of running your business not gone up in 10 years? Of course they have.
Everything has.
Everything. And the carriers' fee, their premiums go up every year. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, I just say straighten them out or walk away from Xactimate. Bye.
Yeah. But if you're going to use Xactimate, why not use it? Why not add 32, 35%? Ken, you got one more thing to say? I thought you almost raised your hand.
I got something to say.
Yeah, go ahead,
Andy.
Eric.
Hey, listen, so I also found out, too, I went to the Actionable Insights LA chapter meeting about a week ago, last week sometime, and there was talking to the guys there, and they told me, yeah, really good stuff going on there. I love what they're doing. Give too much power to the adjuster.
Uh-oh. Say that again. They're giving too much power to the adjuster?
Yeah, it's too much power to the adjuster.
This happens every time Eric wants to say something. Like the gremlins crawl into his phone. It goes under a bridge. All right. Hey, try turning off your video. I can't do it from my end. Stop. I'm going to stop your video. There. See if we can get a little better of that.
How about now?
There we go.
How about,
Ooh,
can you hear me now?
Sorry.
That's brutal.
I'm so sorry, Eric.
Hey, you got to blame Jonathan. He made me switch to Verizon.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. He's not even here to defend himself. All right,
That's all right.
So they're saying we're giving too much power to the adjusters. How are we doing that?
No. I'm saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying that when you use Xactimate, I got off Xactimate because I saw that they can get in there to my numbers and they can sit there and well, no, this and that. Anyways, my point is this. What I learned at the meeting was that we can do pricing feedback, but that only influences 15% of only 15% of the total influences.
Sure.
The influencers that are there.
10 to 15.
So it's just 15%. Yeah, 10 to 15. So, and I asked, well, where are they doing in there? I guess they're doing surveys, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're calling contractors in these various markets.
Yeah, there's three different methodologies.
They're only calling like 15, 20 contractors. I'm in freaking LA where there's thousands of contractors. How the heck are you going to be able to get a nice, good, solid number when you're only surveying just a smidgen of what's out there? So that's another. I don't know how to fix that. We can't. Can we call Xactimate and ask them to survey us?
Yes.
Survey me?
Yes.
You can?
Yes. And that'll all be in the package that I'm going to put live in the group after this call. Yeah, there's three different ways. They get data from actively soliciting feedback. They get data from passive feedback, is us giving feedback through the system. And the third way is, I forget. I can't remember. It's late. But there's three different methodologies that they get feedback into their algorithms. So we are at 1 hour and 1 minute. I am going to cut it off. So let's wrap it up. If you are not providing value, why are you here? All right. Why are you a human on the planet if you're not providing value? Find a way to provide value. I've got a sign right here. I'm going to show you. Here it is. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, I can almost get there. The cord's not long enough. It's right there. It says, what is something I can do for someone else today? What is something I can do to add value to the world today? What is something that I have to offer other people? If we can just internalize the fact that we are not here for ourselves, we are here for this God-given gift, not to hide under a rock. We have to give this gift to the world so it will multiply, and then we get it back tenfold or 100-fold. I don't know if Ardno ever found that Bible quote, but I don't see him on the screen anymore. The gifts we are given, the knowledge that we earn through sometimes very painful lessons, they're not ours to keep. They're ours to give. They're ours to give back to the world. So let's do that. Let's be unified in our purpose. The rising tide will float all boats. And let's do this. Let's do this together. We are stronger together than we are apart. And I love y'all guys. And all right, Mark Witcher's. Did Sean call you and tell you just to hold up the book the whole time? I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna email him now. Sean's the little rascal.
I want to know this guy. I want to take him to dinner.
Oh, he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
For the book that Mark has there, maybe you can get a hold of the author and see if we can do a bulk group buy. See if we can get him for less than sticker.
Well, it's on Amazon, but yeah, I'll talk to him. I'm on a first name basis. I can text him. So, one last thing. Clark and I would love to be in LA on the 15th giving some sort of class. So just throwing that out there. We're going to go to the Warrior Weekend, at OP's Warrior Weekend at Restoration Mastery the 16th, 17th, 18th. We'd like to do that Wednesday. We'd like to be in LA, either setting up a Rebel chapter or giving a class on what it means to be a Restoration 2.0 contractor, maybe some pricing, maybe some T&M, something, or all of the above. So I'm throwing that out there, LA on the 15th of next month. So we'll see you guys.
Yeah, I'll see if I can throw some guys together for that one. Yeah, we'll keep it.
Eric, I thought you were San Diego.
No, I'm LA, man. I'm 45 minutes from OP.
All right, brother. Let's do that. Otherwise, bless y'all. We'll see you guys in the group.